XL is presented by Farrah and Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
It feels like the first day of school at the Miller Electric Center because the Jaguars rookies reported. Did you love or hate the first day of school?
Depended. Did my mother force me to wear a dress, or was it a year I was excited about? Did I have exciting activities? I mean, Lauren, you probably, well, actually, no, you wouldn't empathize with this because soccer in Florida is a winter sport. So for me, training camp for soccer started at the same time that football preseason starts. So when it came to high school, I mean, I'd already been at the school.
Sports, yeah. I played year round because I did club too,
but,
so we played in the dead of the heat.
But to the point of I was already going to school like starting August 1st.
Yeah.
Because school up there doesn't start till September. So I got a full month of being in the building, but not actually taking classes. So at that point.
Different. Okay, that is different down
Yeah,
here.
at that point, it's kind of like how football is here. So, even then, I mean, I guess in the summer you have off-season workouts for the high schoolers. But point being, like I'd already been in the building for like 3 weeks with no classes. And at that point, you're like, I'm kind of ready for afternoon practices. I'm kind of sick of getting here at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., and then being here all day. So, yeah.
I loved the first day of school.
Okay.
I was very, I loved organizing all of my folders and, having my new
Did you
fresh
like school
pencils
supply
and,
shopping?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Me too.
It was my favorite. I was over it by, day 3. After 3 days of school, I was kind of done with it. And I remember several years, especially, late middle school, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade, we kept getting hit with hurricanes, right in the beginning. And we'd come back to school for, 2-3 days, and then we'd be out for a week. And I'm like, this is awesome. We get another little mini vacation. Not that, obviously, you don't want it when you're a kid. You're just like, oh, we get time off of school, and some of the hurricanes were bad. But I was very excited initially. It did wear off pretty quickly for me, though.
I did. I loved school supply shopping.
Yeah.
And, like you said, getting organized. I hated the first day of school, though. And we didn't get to pick our outfits because I went to Catholic school. So the outfit was picked for us.
Yeah, which that probably takes away some of it because that was a lot of my excitement. And I think also...
I got a new backpack.
Yeah.
That's all you get.
I think also, what I've thought about now in times, how times are so different when it comes to, social media and stuff, the way, obviously we didn't have it like that when I was in school. And so most of the summer, you didn't see a lot of the people you went to school with. You had your friends, your good friends that you'd see, but you weren't, constantly in contact with people. So when you'd come back from summer, it's a lot of people you hadn't seen in 2-3 months, and that was exciting, and you got new clothes like we did because we had new clothes. And so I think that did add to the level of excitement, not so much being I get to go to English class with Miss Johnson. I wasn't thinking that.
No, yeah, I get that. I just didn't like not knowing what a teacher's expectations were. And so the first day of school every year was trying to figure out what that teacher would want, because I was a giant nerd, by the way. And so I cared way more about the classes and getting A's and things like that. All right, I have an NFL question for the two of you. Which NFL storyline was more annoying?
Oh,
Shadur's slide in the draft.
Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna
Bill
put him in
Belichick.
because-
Are we going right to it?
No, we're not doing that just yet. Or Abdul Carter figuring out his jersey number. He now will wear, by the way, number 51. But he obviously had a little bit of bumps in the road when it came to picking a jersey. Which storyline has been more
why
annoying?
was that?
Because he tried to get retired numbers.
Right.
Oh, he kept
He
trying
asked
to
two different people for their retired numbers.
They're
and
like
both,
that.
Yeah, both said no. Well, Phil Simms said okay, but his family said no. The jersey's retired for a reason.
Yeah.
And LT, of course, said no.
Yeah.
You're a Rook.
There are some teams the Bears have too many retired numbers. They're running out of numbers at this point, but they've been around for over 100 years. So it's getting people were mocking their number choices, but they're we don't have that many options left anymore when it comes to picking numbers. But certain teams, I think, should maybe unretire some that were in 1920. I feel there's some that still deserve it, but some I'm that person doesn't really. We don't need that retired jersey still. But I do think the
Once
numbers.
you die, you're out.
Yeah,
Your jersey's back.
And some should be forever, but there are a lot where I'm I don't know.
Maybe we jumped the gun a little bit too soon on recency bias of whether or not this person goes down as a great and their jersey numbers should be retired.
Yeah, and obviously we might be talking about that about Colorado in not too long. But I do think that the numbers, I'm not the biggest jersey number fan. I don't care that much personally. So everybody on Twitter this last 2 days on every Twitter has been like, oh, no, you can't do this and you can't do this. And I need the jersey numbers. I truly don't care. I can't remember any of the numbers most of the time anyways, so it doesn't affect my life.
Also, I haven't looked at the Giants' 90-man roster, but my assumption is there may be a number that another player currently has that come September when the 53-man roster
could
is
be
set.
available.
Yeah, and so Abdul Carter could change his number again. We see it all the time, so I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, and I hope it's not a long national nightmare like the last week and a half has been.
What happens to me is once a good player has a number, that player kind of is seared in my brain with that number, and it's hard for me to then learn a new number. Like, for instance, I'll just use recently with the Jaguars. Number 13 for me is Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to take my brain a while to get past that being Christian Kirk.
Yeah.
Well, or even Tyson Campbell changing his number and throwing everybody for a loop there, too. So, I mean, it's just the reality of the situation. That one didn't bug me. The Shador slide in the moment was aggravating. I understand that the Mouse had some of its greatest ratings they've ever seen in the NFL draft, so I'm glad that Mel Kiper stuck to his guns and they were able to reap the benefits of that.
Were you listening to the audio since you were in the Miller Electric
We have
Center
it
media
on,
workroom?
but
Okay.
yeah, we have it on, but like we're not.
Y'all were conversing more.
Yeah, like I was doing other things. Like I mean, I'm following along online and I'm seeing people tweet about what Mel Kiper is saying, but I had to go back and listen to the rants because I wasn't listening to them head on, if you may.
Yeah, and I think that is something we're going to talk about for a while, at least
until the next draft.
That's what I was about to say. Until the conversation's not a conversation anymore. This year it's going to be, because this year, especially with what that quarterback room looks like and who knows what's going to happen. Now it's going viral with the picture of Joe Flacco and
Kenny Pickett
in his tiny little hands. And everyone's zooming in on the poor guy's hands. And I'm like, this is going to be...
Plus, he's wearing gloves, which people say that a lot of times quarterbacks with smaller hands will wear gloves to grip the ball better. And Flacco's out here like, I don't have that problem.
And it does look drastically different in that picture. Sometimes angles do some things. I don't know.
I mean, the iPhone has that setting, the 0.5 and the 1. How do we know that they didn't use 0.5 for Kenny Pickett's hands?
Oh, man. But it will be Browns are always something. It was funny when we were talking yesterday about when we were talking. Who were we talking to yesterday?
Miles.
With Miles about the Falcons. And
Not
he was like,
Miles,
there's always something. Like, they're in the storylines. I was like, welcome to Jacksonville. Welcome to Cleveland. Like, there's other teams that I feel like have had way more, like, traumatic storylines than what the Falcons. The 28-3, that is definitely something that they have to live with forever. But when it comes to the Browns, the list, they have that one picture of the guy that has all the quarterback names, and it's like 3 rows now at this point.
It is.
And that's devastating. And now you have another row just in this room right now.
Right. And for people who don't remember, the Browns went into this draft and needed a quarterback. And instead of taking a quarterback high, they decided to trade down with the Jaguars. They ended up with a guy that was mocked to the Jags for so long, Miles Graham. And so that's who they took with the defensive tackle out of Michigan. That's who they took with the 5th pick. And then they decided to dabble in the quarterback derby, so to speak, in the draft, and drafted Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. And also then in the 5th round drafted Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. So plus they have Joe Flacco, plus they got Kenny Pickett, and then Deshaun Watson, and that
Whatever
dark
that's
cloud
happening.
is still out there. I feel like he's never going to play football again as we sit here today.
It feels like it at this moment. And it is funny, though, to think about, because when we were doing kind of our lead up to the draft and we were having the conversations about Shedeur and Cam and what they're going to do at the top, there were conversations in March that, the Browns may take Shedeur Sanders at 2. They got him in the 5th round. It's kind of crazy to think about that 2 months ago we were talking about the Browns maybe getting him with the number 2 overall pick, and then they ended up getting him in the 5th round.
And even then, did they really want to?
I know. They were kind of forced to take him.
Real quick, circling back to the number conversation, many rookie camps are offering for reporters, for some fans in some markets and some locales, the opportunity to visit on site here today. Of course, the Jaguars will open their rookie mini camp tomorrow to the public and the media up in New York. Mason Taylor was asked about being assigned the number 46, to which he says, that's just the number they gave me. He doesn't care about the number. He just wants to play football. Thank you, Mason Taylor. Thank you.
And then the story will come out in a few months that he paid another player to get the jersey, and that player ended up with a Rolex and things like that. I'm just kidding.
Hold on.
This is when people have to be patient in buying their jerseys, though, because this is
very true.
Yeah, because once you buy, granted, some places, like I know Fanatics, sometimes if a number switches within a certain amount of time, they'll exchange and stuff like that. But if you buy that number and then they end up switching, like maybe Abdul Carter, people wait to get your Abdul Carter.
Although at this point,
jersey.
he's been through so many different different ideas of numbers. I feel like he's got to have settled
Keep
on
it
this
blank,
one.
no number.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like, for instance, if Brian Thomas Jr. changes his number from 7, like, I feel like people will lose their minds because
Right.
I guarantee before Travis Hunter was drafted, I guarantee that's been the hottest selling jersey for the Jaguars.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And I think that is another part. You have this influx of people on draft day now that immediately kids are drafted and they're buying that jersey right away. And they're kind of assuming at that point what number. A lot of times they're just like, oh, they were this number in college and that number is available.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, definitely a gamble because it does not always work out that way. And I guess it's not, like I said, not the biggest thing, but then it doesn't match. Like once the season starts, you're wearing if BTJ were to change it, then all of a sudden people have to like tape over numbers to make sure it matches.
Number 46 last year for the Jets, Riley Patterson for 1 game.
The kicker.
I think he's in the clear. He's in the clear.
Yeah, he's definitely in the clear. That's for sure. And we do, like we mentioned yesterday, have a new number 0. So Calvin Ridley was number 0. That didn't go according to plan. And then Devin Lloyd decided he wanted to be 0, even after Calvin Ridley certainly didn't
and Gabe
leave
Davis.
a lasting legacy. Right. And then Gabe Davis. Exactly. I don't know that 0 is the best idea for Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think Devin Lloyd might want to switch that at this point, especially in kind of where he is right now in the limbo of everything that comes to this defense. And so it is, I mean, or maybe he breaks it and that is the number 0 that changes things here. But it is funny because it's you, and I say I don't care about numbers that much, but to your point earlier, I do register just certain people with numbers, like to a point where someone will say, and like I'll have to remember a number for something during the, whatever, it's a code for something, and I'll register it to former football players because my brain like links it to certain people if it's great. Like that's what it is. And it can't be like 2 years of a player for me. It has to be somebody who impacted my team, whatever it may be, like a Rizzo. Well, that number is always going to be Rizzo for me. But
like Calais Campbell here, 93. I know there's a new 93, but Calais Campbell for me is 93.
Yeah. Well, even when DeJuan Smoot took 91, which had been Yannick Ngakwe's number, even that was very strange for me because I'm like, I know you both independently, and now I'm like, I don't know how to
separate that in your brain.
Understand and manage this in my brain. Number 33 is now Bashal Tutin as of this morning. So
he did run a 4.32, not quite 3.3, but yeah, if he had been just 100 seconds slower, that would have made perfect sense. And let's go through the other ones. Travis Hunter's 12.
Travis Hunter is 12. Caleb Bransaw will wear number 27. Again, this is all as of right now, folks. This could change.
Yeah.
Don't buy the jerseys yet. Word of advice. Wyatt Milam will wear number 64. Tutin will wear number 33. Jack Kaiser, 54. Jalen McLeod, 53. Raywan Lane, 25. 60, Jonah Monheim, and LaKent Allen will wear 36, which I do believe was the number James Robinson started with.
I believe that's correct, too.
So
yeah.
That's some good vibes. Some good vibes for the Syracuse product.
By the way, we found out that the NFL will release, we know they're going to release the schedule on Wednesday at 8 p.m. of next week, but we found out that NBC on the Today Show will release a game that's on Monday, and then also Fox on Monday will have one, as well as Prime Video. So we're going to start having games be trickled out in advance of Wednesday. And of course, if you're online, yes, there are the rumors that will swirl all day on Wednesday itself. ESPN will release a game on Tuesday on Good Morning America. CBS will do one on CBS Morning on Wednesday that morning, and then Netflix also Wednesday. So we will have at least those games announced, and then, of course, the international games will be released earlier as well. Those will be on Tuesday on the Good Morning Football. We know the Jaguars will play one international game. We just don't know who the opponent is. I've heard rumblings that it could be the Rams, which I feel like that is such a good, juicy
that would
story.
Be amazing.
Deductive reasoning, if the Jaguars were to play a home and away game, I don't know if they will. But knowing who their away opponents are, knowing who the other home teams in the international series in London are, New York Jets.
If it's an away game,
correct.
The Jets would host the Jaguars. If it's
that's just me connecting dots. I have no intel whatsoever. That is simply just some dot connecting.
Sure.
That's if the Jaguars were
bad teams over there.
Yeah, the poor international audience. But I know that last year that game was floated, or maybe, it was last year because Aaron Rodgers was on the Jets last year.
Yeah.
It was floated as an international game, and I believe that the Jaguars didn't want to lose that as a home game because they wanted Aaron Rodgers and those ticket sales to come to Jacksonville, which makes perfect sense. All right, Mia, on the other side, I'm going to be blown away. Is that accurate?
Get ready. Get ready, folks. We're going to dissect the Bill Belichick saga. Who is Jordan Hudson? As Pablo Torre of Pablo Torre finds out, eloquently put it, we live in an age of new Jordan rules.
All right. That's interesting. All right. And then at 12:40, we will talk more college football with our friend Jason Priester to talk all things Clemson. And in the 1 o'clock hour, we will get to the Jaguars undrafted free agents slate. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
I'm Greg Coleman, former Reigns High Viking and Minnesota Viking.
This is Bill Polian of ESPN
On 1010XL.
92.5 FM.
It's a Helmets and Heels. Lee and Kate's Glass, Friday.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deal served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080. Hi, I'm Sean Monahan from Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach. Since 1977, we've been Jacksonville's local family jeweler, and this Mother's Day, we'd like to help you celebrate Mom with up to 40% off our entire inventory. GIA-certified natural diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, beautiful colored gemstones, designer brands, custom jewelry design, and Monahan Jewelers offers interest-free financing on any purchase, so get something special with a payment you can afford. Come celebrate Mom with fine jewelry at up to 40% off at Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Riley Green, live.
Doing things a little different, right?
Damn Country Music Tour.
Damn country music.
Friday, August 8th, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena.
Damn country music.
With Ella Langley,
You look like you.
Drake White, and Channing Wilson.
You look like
On sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Riley Green.
Mother's Day is coming, so come to Jacksonville Flower Market and pick the perfect bouquet for the special mom in your life. They even customize the bouquet so it's exactly what she wants. Mention 1010XL and get 15% off. Jacksonville Flower Market off Beach and Southside.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power Charge that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 to learn more. With 24 monthly bill credits and 2 new lines with autopay for well-qualified customers, plus taxes, fees, and $35 per line connection charge. Credits end and balance due if you pay off early or cancel. Contact us, plus $5 per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Something big is coming, and 1010XL is about to reveal it. Join 1010XL all day Thursday for the big reveal. Delivered by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning, and Renewal by Anderson, Custom Windows and Doors.
Jacksonville Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece. DuckDuck Rooter is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When you need help with any plumbing, septic, or AC issue, just give us a call and relax. We'll send one of our first-round draft picks to tackle your problems today. DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com.
Joint replacement surgery is always a tough decision, but relief from chronic pain may be just around the corner. Dr. George Barber here, and there's a lot to consider to make sure you get the proper diagnosis and best path back to the range of motion and mobility you had. Age, lifestyle, and overall health all play a part. Let the team at Barrier Orthopedics give you a full analysis to help you make the best decision. Log on to BarrierOrthopedics.com or call the office to make an appointment. With offices across Jacksonville and ready to help you feel good again, we'll get you back on the road to recovery at Barrier Orthopedics.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
You've got a lot on your plate. The last thing you need is car trouble. At Maxie's Mechanics, we help you keep your cars, trucks, and SUVs running safely. Visit MaxieAutoRepair.com today for honest service, reliable repairs, and peace of mind for you and your family.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Jay Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia, I'm nervous that this new Bleacher Report with the North Carolina statement is going to dampen our conversation.
No, not at all, because
Okay,
Pablo Torre has already released a statement as well saying that they stand by their reporting at Meadowlark Media and this idea of, hey, they submitted multiple FOIA, Freedom of Information requests that went unanswered. And so isn't that a little telling as well, that the University of North Carolina had an opportunity to get out in front of this, right, and they chose not to?
Yeah, because now North Carolina is saying that Jordan Hudson, the girlfriend of Bill Belichick, is welcome at all Carolina facilities as long as Bill Belichick is the head coach. But that's not at all what the initial report was.
Here is Pablo Torre on this morning's Pablo Torre Finds Out, of course, brought to you by Meadowlark Media, available in podcast as well as the video version. I've listened to the podcast version. I told Taylor as soon as I walked in, I'm watching the video version when I get home because I cannot get enough of the craziness of this saga, but also Pablo's reporting.
A couple of breaking news updates since what has happened publicly since we last gathered. Number one, okay? Two sources at the University of North Carolina tell me that there has been a decision, it was made last week, by the higher-ups inside the athletic department that had hired Bill Belichick to be the highest-paid public employee, not just coach, in the state of North Carolina at $10 million a year. And that decision was that Jordan Hudson is no longer allowed in the football building.
Okay.
She is not allowed on the football field. Quote, don't think you'll be hearing much from Jordan moving forward.
Wow.
Dang,
That's
not
a
in
little
the
flippant.
building?
That's a little flippant. I feel like that is what is done with a distraction, and a team is within its rights to do that when it comes to external distractions.
Now, do we think, maybe we know, I don't know if we know, do we think this is like the athletic director at UNC being like, this is a problem? Or do you think it's Bill going to the athletic director and being like, I would really love it if you said this was a problem?
They said you can't come.
Yeah,
I would love to have you there.
Oh my God, are you
you're my
kidding me?
cheerleader.
Who's got tarier heels than you?
You're my cheerleader.
You gotta be there, babe. But
they
Donnie's
are saying,
on my back.
Bubba Cunningham.
New
Is that his name? Bubba Cunningham?
Bubba, you know the way
You know how
Bubba's.
Bubba can be.
Two things. One, that's, of course, Katie Nolan and Michael Cruz Kane, who joined Pablo on today's episode. I think that Michael Kane's theory is probably a little too out there for me. I would also like to just acknowledge the fact that two of the three most powerful athletic directors, not just in the state of North Carolina, but in the country, are named Boo and Bubba. File that one away for later, because here we are in 2025. Yeah, Boo and Bubba. There's a lot to unpack there. I believe Pablo Torre's reporting from his time at Sports Illustrated to ESPN, now with Meadowlark. I believe him when he says that we filed Freedom of Information Acts. We went out of our way to speak to multiple sources, not just at the University of North Carolina, but at NFL Films. Yes, that's the real juicy part, as Taylor has already found out without listening to the full episode of this podcast, because Pablo also went out of his way to reach out to people in NFL Films media circles who, in Bill Belichick's one sabbatical year where he was doing a podcast at Underdog, he was also filming commercials that Jordan may or may not have inserted herself into the commercials. The same people who were filming the commercials may or may not have told her they were filming, and they actually didn't have the camera turned on. It's kind of like when you got the little kid, who wants to play a video game with you, and so you give him a controller that's not actually turned on. Right, like those vibes.
When Taylor and I are at a place with live music and we try to sing and they give us a microphone that's
not turned on.
Those vibes.
Maybe that's just me. Just kidding.
That's
Taylor
literally
would actually be given a microphone that was on.
Evidently, that's what NFL Films did last year at one point in time. Then they also caught her on a hot mic a couple times. There is a lot of juicy details there that, quite frankly, I don't believe any of those people involved have any reason or leverage to make up these facts.
Yeah.
And so that is why, especially knowing who the reporting is coming from and knowing how much they tried to vet the information with the university, and the university refused to acknowledge its presence, and now all of a sudden they want to release a statement and say none of that is true.
It's interesting. I wonder because the statement from the Carolina Athletics, who came out and said, while Jordan Hudson is not an employee at the University of Carolina Athletics, she is welcome to the Carolina football facilities. Jordan will continue to manage all activities related to Coach Belichick's personal brand outside of his responsibilities for Carolina football and the university.
She's not helping the personal brand.
Yeah,
Let me
definitely
be the first
not.
to say that.
I wonder, though, because the way it's worded, obviously, is from Carolina Athletics. But I wonder if it's like the Carolina Athletics is like, we haven't banned her, but UNC football has been like, we don't want her around. And so the football team can make their own decisions of who and who cannot be involved in their facilities. But maybe the athletic program as a whole, and this is their way of getting around it, has been like, okay, we're not going to completely say she's banned, but the football team has their choices of who can and cannot be around.
Because for those of you who say, why are you guys giving this oxygen on a Feel Good Friday? I think Katie Nolan hit the nail on the head as a lifelong New England Patriots fan. This is a man who became one of the greatest coaches, regardless of sport, of our time, by getting rid of any distraction and all distractions and telling his players and his coaches to do the same. And now this sure screams distraction, and they are welcoming it to the party. And so it begs the question, why? According to the podcast, according to Pablo Torre's reporting, the best way I can summarize it and surmise it is essentially Bill Belichick has never been alphaed by anyone until this 24-year-old, maybe she's 24, she may actually be younger, she may be older, that's also part of the pod, until she came around, which is just like, in what world?
Yeah, it's funny the way that their relationship is, because that's just, I feel like, not the Bill Belichick that, and we don't know, we're just all going from reports, but also, I was just scrolling, and there's a picture of her dressed as a mermaid, and he's dressed as a fisherman, and they're like, it's weird. There's weird stuff that is, I don't know, it's a little strange. But I also think that in the time even of Bill with the Patriots, there was drama. There was drama throughout his tenure there when it comes to Deflategate, when it comes to the filming of stuff, when it comes to, obviously, Hernandez stuff. There was drama on that within that team. The thing was they were winning Super Bowls. And
it was on to Cincinnati. It was on to Cincinnati despite all of that.
And so that's what I wonder, though, if the Patriots weren't winning the way they were winning and Tom Brady wasn't Tom Brady, if it would have been a little bit more and we would have been more like a little more focused on the Bill Belichick side of things. It's something we'll never know.
Before as a head coach in Cleveland.
Yeah. And so when it comes to this, he hasn't played obviously they haven't played a game with him as a head coach. So I don't know. Unfortunately, this is starting before you even really get on the football field. But if they go and they have a really good football season, how much are people going to care about Jordan Lewis? At least there. People are still probably going to mock the situation. Jordan Lewis. Whatever.
Leave Jordan Lewis.
Not that Jordan Lewis. Isn't there a singer, Jordan Lewis? I don't know.
There's Leona Lewis.
Okay,
Leona
I'm
Lewis. That's
mixing everything
Jordan Davis, yeah. I just wanted to make sure because we did bring up Jordan Lewis. Yeah, he's not involved in this.
Don't find the tweets, Jordan, please. We promise we're not talking about you. We do invite you guys to engage in this conversation. 904-641-1010. Some of you you already have. 678. Bill needs to get his manhood back. Someone please get him some Blue Chew. Fantastic work from Derek in Indiana. Mac Brown is sitting in his recliner drinking Country Time lemonade, watching The Price is Right, and saying, "Payback is a mother."
I love Country Time lemonade. Oh my goodness.
it is delicious.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it feels like Bill is probably not going to be the head coach of North Carolina football, maybe this season, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up either stepping away of his own volition or if North Carolina steps in and says, look at all of the issues look at all of the negative publicity we've gotten since you took the job. This is not at all what we signed up for. And they're a university that is much more highbrow than all of this.
So you're in the camp of our good friend Dimitri Ravanos of OG Triangle Media, because he believes up in the Triangle, up in North Carolina, in Chapel Hill, he believes that Bill will never coach a game at North Carolina. Is that the camp that you're falling into?
It feels how that's trending as of now. I mean, he's not doing anything good for a university that prides itself on academics and certainly athletics too, even though, yes, I know University of North Carolina football did have that scandal a few years ago where they ended up getting in trouble with the NCAA because they made a fake class for their student athletes. Maybe it was basketball, either one of those two big sports. And so the school got in trouble because they were fictitiously giving grades to students for a class that didn't exist. Nowadays, that's called entire college athletics, but that's neither here nor there.
So Lauren's in the camp of he's never going to coach a game. What are you, Taylor?
And so it's funny because I go back to when we were having the coaching search here, all of the coaching searches here and in Chicago were happening. And I remember making a list on my Twitter of like, these are the coaches that I would love. These are the coaches that I would be like about. And then these are the coaches I would actually absolutely hate. And I put Belichick in that category. And everyone's like, well, he's already coaching for UNC. And I was like, we'll see. And so it's funny going back to January already. I was like, I don't think, and I said this before because someone reminded me on Twitter. Someone reminded me that I said this is going to be the Urban Meyer opposite switch of him going to college and Urban trying the NFL. I had a feeling it was going to be a disaster.
256
I didn't think it was going to be because of Jordan.
Yeah, Hudson.
Sparks, whatever it is.
Yeah, most people thought that he'd go to the NFL, that it's one of the NFL teams would give him something more lucrative than North Carolina was, although he's making a lot of money there, and would lure him to the NFL.
But that begs the question. Did these NFL teams know?
Yeah, something was happening.
Just look, like Taylor said, just look at the social media of Bill Belichick,
so bad.
and you'll know.
So
I don't think Jordan Hudson knows how to wear normal clothes because every outfit is quite revealing. All right, let's get it back to some college football, some X's and O's. Our post-spring practice college football tour does continue with Clemson on the other side. Jason Priester joins us. He covers that team so closely. A lot of really high expectations for this team in Clemson, South Carolina, so we will chat with Jason on the other side on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
When you want breaking sports news, tune in to 1010XL.
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Or any of our social channels at 1010XL.
Satisfied?
Lee and Kate's Class, Friday on Helmets and Heels.
Tired of a plain and boring backyard? Stonecore on Phillips Highway is your one-stop choice to beautify your home. With pavers, stonework, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, pergolas, and driveways. Visit stonecore.co. We do outdoors better.
Mia here for Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet organization system, and I cannot say enough about how happy I am with it. With Mother's Day around the corner, I've been thinking about how much energy goes into caring for everyone else and how little time we take to create spaces that care for us. That's why Closets by Design specializes in custom solutions for every lifestyle and budget, because moms deserve to feel taken care of too. Call them to schedule your free in-home consultation and to receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off. 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
This Mother's Day, be direct. Tell mom she shines without saying a word. At Diamonds Direct, we've curated a meaningful collection of timeless gifts for every budget, from birthstone rings and stackables to diamond pendants, pearls, and stunning earrings. So here's to mom for her love, her strength, and always putting others first. This year, she deserves a gift that lasts a lifetime, and that's our specialty. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
Catch Gators baseball all season long on 1010XL. Pitched by Farah and Farah, the official personal injury law firm of the Jaguars. And Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Florida Gators. This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 9, 1987, Baltimore Orioles MLB first baseman Eddie Murray is the first player to switch hit home runs in 2 consecutive games.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
Prosser here. It's a great time to sell your home, and I got just the people to sell it for you. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down, activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though. Hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize your hassle, that's the key. And I've been telling you who those experts are. Are you listening? I recommend Chad and Sandy Newman. Go to chadandsandy.com, the local real estate experts you can trust with the sale of your home. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. So whatever problems you think you have, I've got you this promise. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. There you go. Simple as that. Christopher on Anastasia Island. My home was too big for my needs. I wanted someplace smaller and easier to manage. I got multiple offers and sold in 3 days with Chad and Sandy. You can too at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
Lucas Tree Service is a certified arborist and a local family-owned business with over 45 years of experience. They specialize in tree removal, trimming, and stump grinding for both residential and commercial properties. Get prepared for storm season and receive top-notch customer service from Lucas Tree Service, 904-241-3533. Online at lucastreeservice.com.
Jacksonville, you know a good defense wins games, and a good fence protects your home. Frank Frangie here. Coil Fencing has been around the block since 1927. Literally, they probably fenced it too. From tough chain link to sleek aluminum fences your HOA will love, Coil is the name to trust. Nearly a century strong and still standing tall. Call Coil today. You can trust them. Call 904-356-4821 or visit coiljacks.com. That's COYLE Jacks.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
Yo, Brian Taylor Dollar, Jay Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Friday, talking all things college football this week, post-spring practice. Let's get it to Clemson as Jason Priester joins us now. Jason, nothing like seeing Clemson in the top 3 in all these way too early college football rankings.
Yeah, it's a little bit different than it's been the past few years. Much higher expectations. It kind of reminiscent of that playoff run they had, what feels like many years ago now.
It does. Jason, of course, a beat writer for @Clemson Insider, if you want to follow them online. All right, Jason, because of the circumstances with the transfer portal and Dabo Swinney, for the most part, eschewing it until pretty much this season, how are people reacting to that?
It's a little bit, you get some mixed reactions. You have a faction of the fan base who believes he should be much more heavily involved in the portal than he has been. Then you get a faction that's just glad he's tapping into it even a little bit now. And then you get a faction who kind of understands his process and how he goes about doing things. He's a big believer in development. He doesn't like to bring in a transfer over a younger guy that he believes in to kind of take that guy's spot. And he's never wavered from that. He's always maintained that Clemson's a developmental program, and it always will be as long as he's there. But I do think you'll see him continue to use the portal when he thinks he's got a gap to fill. If he thinks he's got a gap between an outgoing guy and a guy behind him who maybe isn't quite ready yet, you'll see him fill it that way from time to time. But he'll never be heavily involved in it, and there'll be some people inside his own fan base that won't never, agree with it.
Jason, we appreciate you hopping on so much with us on this Feel Good Friday. I have to ask, though, and at least from my vantage point, so much of this preseason top 5 ranking and the high expectations and whether or not Clemson will actually achieve those lofty goals depends on the play of Cade Klubnik. Does it not? Is that the ultimate, either they are going to be in the college football playoff once again and be an even higher seed and contend for a national title, or this entire thing could come crumbling to the ground?
Oh, 100%. It kind of starts and stops with your quarterback. I mean, I believe that's the case more often than not. And with Clemson, it starts and stops with Klubnik. Absolutely. This is his third year as the full-time starter. He's had some peaks and valleys in his career. Make no mistake. His first year as a starter, probably more valleys than peaks. Second year, probably more peaks than valleys. He had a really good year kind of quietly last year. Far more ups than downs. 36 touchdowns, only 6 interceptions. I think he only lost 1 fumble after that was a big issue with him as a sophomore. But Dabo, he kind of insists there's another step that Klubnik can take. And if he indeed does take that step, the sky's the limit for this offense. He's got a lot of weapons to work with. They've probably got more production returning on that side of the ball than most teams in the country. One of the best groups of wideouts in the country, a very, very experienced offensive line. I mean, the pieces are in place, and it's going to be up to him to guide them.
Jason, when you talk about helping him, a part of that is the running back room. And obviously, Phil Maffa getting drafted. Jay Haynes is recovering from an ACL. So you've got freshman Gideon Davidson and the veteran Keith Adams. Thoughts on that room in general and kind of expectations of how that can play out?
I talked about the return in production on offense. Now, that's where that's the big question here is running back. That's the one spot they don't have a lot of experienced production returning. You mentioned Gideon Davidson, true freshman, one of the best backs in the last recruiting class. He's primed to be a star. The question is, how fast can he get there? Will he be ready, as a first-year back? Clemson kind of moved Adam Randall, a receiver, to running back prior to the game against Texas in the college football playoff. He only had 4 carries in that game. One of them was a 40-yarder, but he had only been playing the position for a couple of weeks. He's been there all spring now. He has maintained the spot atop the depth chart, and I would be very surprised if we didn't get to that opener against LSU and he's not the starting running back. Now, the question is how long he can hold off that talented freshman in Gideon Davidson. But if he is what Dabo Swinney and some of those coaches have maintained what he was in the spring, his transition there has been seamless, and Adam could be a really big piece to this thing moving forward. He's probably one of the guys I am most anxious to see how he continues to progress through the fall and once we get into the season.
Jason, I feel like most people are aware that Ohio State and Texas open up against each other, that Florida State, Alabama open up against each other. But that LSU-Clemson game, like you just referenced, to open the season, Clemson never shies away from those big games opening season the last couple of years, obviously, with Georgia. What do you think about that top 10 matchup?
I think this is a big game for Clemson. You know, will losing it keep them out of the playoff? Absolutely not. But I think it's big for perception. If you lose that game, the narrative's kind of going to snowball on you. You've lost your last few against SEC teams. I think 4 in a row now, if I'm remembering, 3 or 4 in a row now to SEC teams or whatever it is. That's kind of a trend they need to reverse. If you go out there, especially if you lose that game at home, where Clemson's been so tough over the past several years, you know, the narrative's going to be, hey, this is just a lowly ACC team. They're not a national title contender, yada, yada, yada. You go out there and flex your muscle and you win that game, then the narrative changes completely. You know, you're viewed in a whole different light. Hey, maybe Clemson is back. So I think this is a huge game for Clemson. I mean, it's not going to heavily impact their playoff potential. You know, you can still win the league and get in, but it is definitely going to impact perceptions and how this team is viewed next season.
You can find his work on X at JP_Priester. That's PRIESTER, and of course over at the Clemson Insider. Jason, in discussing the defense for Clemson in 2025, I want to tie a couple things together and call back a little bit and bring it back to here in Jacksonville. This idea that Trevor Lawrence emerged onto the scene in 2019 and his game was elevated by 3 future first-round defensive linemen who were all in their final season of college. I think that's become more and more prevalent, or at the very least, I've been banging that drum here the last few weeks. Not to say it's a knock on Trevor, but it's the reality of having a great defensive front, having a great defense, and what that can do for a young quarterback. Will the defense at Clemson this year be able to elevate the play of an offense who, as you noted, certainly has a quarterback entering his 3rd season, has wide receivers back across the board, a young running game, yes. But if that defense is good, correct me if I'm wrong, that elevates the entire product.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. I don't think you'll get much argument from Clemson fans that defensive front on those 2016 and 2018 teams, particularly that 2018 team, when Trevor Lawrence won a national title as a freshman, I don't think you'll get much argument from Clemson fans that defensive front played a huge impact in that. You know, Clemson's defense kind of fell off of a cliff last year under Wes Goodwin. They couldn't stop the run. They didn't really get after the quarterback like they have in the past. They just did not play up to the standard that is in place at Clemson when it comes to defense. So Dabo goes out and hires Tom Allen away from Penn State, viewed as one of the best D coordinators in the country. And, you know, he has made it a focal point to kind of get back to the basics, putting a lot of emphasis on fundamentals. Clemson just was not a very good tackling team last year. And all throughout the spring, he could be heard on his microphone telling those guys, we're going to be the best tackling team in the country. We're going to be the best tackling team in the country. For me, I think this defense is going to take a big step forward this year. Again, just kind of like with Adam Randall, the returns through the spring were excellent. You could see it kind of some in the spring game. They just look much more disciplined than they were last year. And I think it's going to start with that defensive front. There's a lot of talent that returns there, too. You got guys like Peter Woods, T.J. Parker, the transfer that Dabo brought in, and Will Helt at defensive end. And then you got some younger guys like Stephon Green, who's played some over his first 2 years. Vic Burley, who was a big-time recruit, kind of struggled with some injuries, but it seems to be healthy now. So that's a deep and talented defensive front, and I think it's going to be much improved this year. And absolutely, when your defensive front can get after the quarterback and put pressure on opposing offenses, it absolutely makes it easier on your offense.
Jason, when we talk about that offense, because I think also I saw a headline that is all. I hate the wording of this anytime I see it anyways, because they said, could there be too many mouths to feed at Clemson? And I never like when people say that, because I don't think it's a problem to have people to throw the ball to. But when you talk about a TJ Moore and obviously Bryant Wesco, who we've seen flashes from, but they have other pieces when it comes to that receiving group and what you can kind of expect there and at tight end. So what are the thoughts in that room of who can kind of take over as wide receiver 1, 2, and what it could look like?
I think, you know, when we get to that first game, the first 3 guys that will run out there will be T.J. Moore, Bryant Wesco, Antonio Williams. You know, Williams deciding to come back for his senior season was a big boost for that offense. He led the team in receptions and yards last year, kind of evolved into Cade Klubnik's safety valve or go-to guy, if you will. When they needed a big play, they kind of turned to Antonio. And then you got Tyler Brown, who missed pretty much all of last season with an ankle injury. Due to that, he's kind of been the forgotten man in that room. He led the team in catches as a freshman the year before last. And then you've got the transfer. They brought in Tristan Smith, who is a legit 6'5" wideout that they can go up and high point the ball, make those 50-50 plays Clemson's kind of struggled with the last few years. And you got a couple of tight ends, even though that Jake Brenningstool's left for the NFL. You got a couple of tight ends in Olsen, Pat Henry, and younger one, redshirt freshman Christian Betcure. So there's no shortage of weapons there. But, I don't think that having a deep group of pass catchers is a bad problem to have. I think there are a lot of schools around the country that would love to have that problem. And Clemson's kind of been known for rotating those guys in and out on a frequent basis to kind of keep them fresh. So I think they'll all have enough opportunities no matter who runs out there first.
Jason, when it comes to the college football playoff, like you mentioned, you don't think a loss to LSU would hurt Clemson. Give Clemson credit, like I said, for not just scheduling these openers, but in the near future, we'll have Clemson and Notre Dame going at it for 12 years in a row. We already know LSU's on the schedule for this year and for next year. Georgia's on the schedule for 4 years, and Oklahoma's on the schedule for 2 years in 2035 and 2036. We, of course, with those college football schedules, schedule them way out. But I just think that that's really important for the strength of schedule when the ACC isn't as good.
Yeah, I believe that too. And Dabo's never been a guy to shy away from competition. He's always scheduled these tough out-of-conference matchups throughout his tenure. Had several games with Auburn, several with Georgia, a couple with Texas A&M, and then you always play South Carolina in the season finale, that rivalry matchup. But I think this Notre Dame deal they've got here for the next 12 years, beginning in 2027, is interesting. Because with the talks of the SEC going to a 9-game conference schedule, I think some of those matchups you just mentioned, like in the future against Oklahoma and Georgia, I wouldn't be shocked to see some of those go away. So you kind of have a backup plan there in place in case some of them do. And it gives you a marquee matchup every year. And with the ACC kind of going to this new revenue sharing model where, some of that's going to be based on the ratings you draw, that Clemson Notre Dame game every year is going to be a ratings bonanza, and that's only going to help you in that regard too.
All right, Jason, before we let you go, knowing you also cover Clemson basketball for the Clemson Insider, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask about what I believe is one of the more underrated storylines in the country in college athletics this year. Ian Shefflin, the leading scorer, or at the very least, the heart of the Clemson basketball team that went to the Elite Eight 2 years ago, is now joining Clemson's football team as a tight end. But, correct me if I'm wrong, he's out of eligibility. Is he one of these players who's entering the portal, but not the portal because he's switching sports and hoping the NCAA comes up with a waiver? How is this possible?
Yeah, he's out of eligibility in basketball. In the NCAA, you get 5 years to play 4 years in your sport. He's got 1 year of eligibility. He can still play in football, so he's planning to use that this year. Did enter the portal, a few weeks ago, just in case something happened and he got a 5th year and he was able to come back and play at Clemson. I don't think anyone ever envisioned him going off and playing anywhere else if he did get another year. Doesn't look like that's likely to happen. He's already on the football roster on the team website. They've already got him a number. I forget what it was, maybe 18, but yeah, he's going to play tight end this year. That's going to be a fun storyline to watch. A big 6'8" guy. We'll see how much he can actually make an impact on the team. He's a guy that hasn't played football, I think, since he was a sophomore in high school, maybe. So it's been a while since he's been on the football field. Going to be a lot to learn in a short amount of time. But if nothing else, man, he gives you a presence in the locker room. He gives you some leadership in the locker room. He should be a great addition to that team, no matter how much he actually gets on the field.
But that's interesting. So that is a rule with the NCAA. So as long as you can exhaust your 4 years in one sport, but if it's within a 5-year range, you could pick up another sport at the same school.
Correct. That's how he's doing this.
That's
so you don't see it a whole lot. You see it every now and then, not very often.
If he catches a touchdown or multiple, we might start seeing him more often. You got that right.
Crazy.
I thought you were going to ask him if there was bigger polar opposites between Dabo Swinney and Bill Belichick.
Oh no! We already did our Bill rant. We're not gonna ask Jason his take on the new Jordan rules with regards to Jordan Hudson.
Have you seen their statement they put out?
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yes.
that is the most bizarre thing.
Pablo's standing by his reporting. He's digging his heels in. I don't know if you saw the rebuttal. Like, Meadowlark, like, they're digging their heels in. They said they filed Freedom of Information requests, and UNC never answered anything.
That is going to be so fun to watch because we all know it's going to end so badly. It's just a question of when.
We pretty much said the same thing.
Absolutely. All right, Jason. Well, we so appreciate your time. I'm glad you get to cover Dabo Swinney and not Bill Belichick.
That makes two of us. I appreciate it, girls.
October 4th, you will, technically, if Bill's actually on the sidelines, Jason.
Yeah, if he's still there, I'll get to do both.
There you go.
All right,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Have a great weekend.
I appreciate it.
There he goes, Jason Priester. For more, you can find him on X, like Mia said, at his name, JP Priester, and then at Clemson Insider as well. I'll bring you today's Terminix Pest of the Day. On the other side, you are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
From the backyard to the ball yard, let's have a ball. 1010XL, Jacksonville Sports Radio. You're locked into a Lee and Kate's Glass Friday on Helmets and Heels.
The joys of home ownership. Until the plumbing backs up, the AC goes out, or your septic system decides to act up. The good news? You don't have to call 3 different companies when things go wrong. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning all under one roof. Whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they have you covered. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their 5-star reviews on Google. From the moment you call to the moment the tech solves your issue, you will get first-class service every step of the way. Give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One call does it all.
From humble origins on Beach Boulevard to the grandeur of the old homestead, Taco Lou has bucked the odds, selling cheap tacos and even cheaper beers since 2008. I'll be the first to lament that nothing is cheap anymore, but much has not changed in 17 years. Bangin' Shrimp still rocks, margaritas flow day and night, and we love to see old friends and make new friends every day. You can still spin the wheel or sit outside on the patio in the sun with friends and family. It's been a ton of fun, and we have you, Jacksonville, to thank for 17 years. Taco Lou in Jacksonville Beach.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Hacker here, and let's talk sincerity. You know, there's a big difference between someone tossing you a casual, hey, how you doing, and genuinely asking, no, really, how are you doing? At Awaken 180, I felt that sincerity every single week while dropping 122 pounds, and I still feel it every month in free maintenance for life. Sure, seeing that number plunge on the scale was incredible, but what truly pushed me across the goal line? My amazing Awaken 180 coaches. They coached me up like I was prepping for draft day, always in my corner, sincerely invested in my success, and check this out. I'm going on a cruise in a couple of weeks, complete with formal night. Now, normally, cameras and I have a strained relationship. I hated taking pictures, but thanks to Awaken 180, the camera and I have made peace. No more ducking photos. Want results you can actually keep? Do what we all did and call 844-346-1800 or book online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low 5s, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece. Premium flooring. Take our advice. Home business, affordable price.
Baseball is back. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball at the newly renovated Five-Star Ballpark is your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Summer in Jacksonville is coming in hot. Lauren Brooks here. Beat the heat with Turbo Tint. Their window tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays and keeps your ride cool and comfortable. Book today at orangepark.turbotint.com.
Get ready. Welcome to Rockville is gearing up to take over the Daytona International Speedway from May 15th to 18th with Green Day, Korn, Shinedown, and Linkin Park. Plus Bad Omens, Incubus, Good Charlotte, Rob Zombie, Alice in Chains, Pierce the Veil, Marilyn Manson, 3 Days Grace, Sublime, Hailstorm, I Prevail, Three Doors Down, Jimmy Eat World, Motionless in White, Bush, Chevelle, Mudvayne, and so many more. Welcome to Rockville. North America's largest rock festival is finally here. May 15th to the 18th in Daytona Beach. 5 stages, 4 days, and over 150 bands. Select passes on sale now at welcometorockville.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update brought to you by Clay Solar Installation Partners. Travis Hunter and the rest of the Jags draftees make their debut tomorrow when the team starts their rookie mini training camp down at the Miller Electric Center. Practice is set to kick off at 1:25 and tickets for this event have officially been sold out. The North Florida Ospreys baseball team honored their seniors this weekend during their final ASUN home series against Queens University with a doubleheader today, currently in playing game 1, scoreless through the second inning. They'll play their second game afterwards, followed by their series finale tomorrow at 1. The JU Dolphins hit the road for a critical ASUN matchup this weekend after suffering a tough midweek loss to the FSU Seminoles. The Dolphins will look to rebound against in-state rivals Stetson Hatters. First pitch will be tonight at 6:30. It's 88 degrees at 1 o'clock. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
I've been waiting on the sunset, bills on my mindset. I can't.
By the way, the new Morgan Wallen song about his son came out today called Superman. So if you have time, go and listen to that. It's not as much fun for like bump music. That's what we call songs that we play when we come back into segments. It's a slower song, but the lyrics are so sweet. So check that out. After, of course, all live programming.
There's like a lot out.
Yes, a lot of new songs are out. The entire Morgan Wallen album comes out next Friday.
Okay.
So
Because I looked today and I was like, I went to, but at first there was like 2 or 3, and then now there was a steady list of ones.
Yeah, you're on vacation, so I know what
perfect.
you'll be doing all next Friday. All right, time now for the Terminix Pest of the Day. Make sure you have Terminix come out to your house and spray your yard, and that way they treat it for mosquitoes. They'll already do your pests and termites and all that fun stuff like they do at Everbank Stadium, at VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena, at VyStar Ballpark, all those great places like they do at our house too. But make sure that you have a mosquito-free summer. Your pet will be happier too, trust me. All right, today's Pest of the Day is a serious one, and it comes on the heels of Ohio State offensive lineman Ben Chrisman's death at the age of just 21 years old, that the coroner said that was due to heart disease. And the pest is the fact that college physicals do not include echocardiograms. The reason that's important is because that is what can detect certain things. And so Kirk Herbstreit, whose son went through something similar, he tweeted, "I'm so sorry to hear this and my condolences to Ben's family. I can't imagine what they're going through. It's time we find answers to these existing cardiovascular issues, and an EKG isn't getting it done. Would love to partner with others to mandate that intercollegiate physicals include echocardiograms." His son was diagnosed at the age of 20 with cardiomyopathy, which, if you remember, that's what we thought was surrounding the whole COVID thing back a few years ago, now 5 years ago. And so make sure that you do have the echocardiogram. Kirk Herbstreit, like I said, wanted to encourage that people do that, and he's willing to get involved. This is really important, obviously, because we're talking about putting student athletes in these really uncomfortable situations when it comes to practice and all the strength and conditioning that they go through. And if they don't have the echocardiogram, whether it's their athletic trainer, their coach, no one involved in the program, the strength and conditioning coach, none of them know that they have the heart issue. And so something like this can happen.
Yeah, I know you've done a lot of stuff on this. And what is the reasoning for them not? Is it money?
No, it's not money. People just, for whatever the reason, this has been the way that physicals have been conducted. And while, yes, maybe it would be a little bit more money, it's not like ECGs, EKGs, depending on whatever acronym you want to use. It's not like there's some insane cost associated with them. I've had the opportunity through our friends at Who We Play For, who you probably have seen their signage. You've probably heard me talk about it if you listen to 1010XL or seen it on my social channels. They're based down in the Melbourne area, but they go throughout the state of Florida and provide free ECG screenings by partnering with different school districts. They've done it with Nassau County. They've done it with Duval County and Baptist and Wolfson Medical Center. You have Health too. And ultimately, they do get the funding for it, so it covers the cost, and that's for high school students. But to your point, like I asked for one at my wellness check, my annual physical 2 years ago, and they said, "Oh, really? Like you want it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do, because if I'm going to be helping and promoting this, because I have had the opportunity, I went down and I helped them with a screening a couple years ago at Daytona, and I conducted the ECG screening on student athletes alongside the professionals." It's not invasive.
Yeah.
It's simply you just put a couple stickers that are connected to a machine. You have to sit still for 30 seconds. They run the screen. You're good to go. And in turn, you can find out if you do have one of these pre-existing conditions that obviously have reared their ugly head for thousands, millions of people. Pre-2020, folks, this has been going on for centuries, but now we have the science that can identify it. It's not that expensive. You just have to ask for it. And it's shocking to me that it hasn't been implemented. And Albert Breer, Lauren, actually quote tweeted Herbstreit's tweet, and he said, "It's amazing that many of these issues pop up for the first time at the combine."
Right.
And then
that's where they do the actual echocardiogram.
Right. And that's where you see the players come off the team's board. And it's like, how is that not included in the onboarding process through the NCAA clearinghouse?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so to decipher or to basically get into dissect, that's the word I'm looking for, to dissect it. So the ECG or the EKG, that tests your heart's electricity. So that's making sure that your heartbeat, your pulse is where it should be. The echocardiogram looks at the structure of your heart. So it probably is more expensive to do the echocardiogram. However, the structure of an athlete's heart is what is so incredibly important.
Yeah.
And we would see, I think, far fewer of these types of deaths where the medical staff was completely, in the dark about stuff like this. If someone has something like that has an issue with the structure of their heart, they have to identify that and then address that before they can play any sports. So Herbstreit went on to say his son was diagnosed at 20 years old with cardiomyopathy. That means an enlarged left ventricle of his heart, right? Mm-hmm. And it was severe enough that a heart replacement was discussed if his heart didn't improve. But Herbstreit said, thankfully, it did improve since the spring of 2023. If they're talking about a heart replacement for someone who's that young, then clearly if they had not figured that out, then Herbstreit's son could be another of these tragic stories that we're discussing.
Correct. And it also, in addition to the need for more readily available ECG screenings and for it to be included in a sports physical beginning at, in my estimation, it should be included beginning at the middle school level. And certainly
before you play sports.
Right. Yeah. And certainly some of these conditions can be developed over time. And so you consistently need to have the screening done too. But it also, once again, places an emphasis on the need for CPR certification. Mm-hmm. Until 2021, Florida was one of 8 states that did not require a CPR course to graduate public high school. That has since now changed, and it all but places the emphasis on the importance of continuing to, even if you don't recertify, make sure you do take a course and you're familiar with it, because you have never know who could potentially go down, quite literally, next to you, and you could be in a save opportunity, as the folks at Who We Play For call it.
Even if you don't take the CPR class, this is the one thing I've always kept in my head because I've taken so many CPR classes. make sure that you do the heartbeat to Stayin' Alive by the Bee Gees. That's how fast you're supposed to. If someone were to have some heart issues and you needed to do the compressions, do it to Stayin' Alive by the Bee Gees. I am no doctor.
There's a new one that just recently...
a new song? Okay.
Yeah, I'll think of it in a second. Hold on.
Yeah. But to Mia's point, the basic understanding of what to do in those situations, whether it's someone choking you to the Heimlich, or certainly if there's an AED standing by and someone has those types of issues, like to understand what you're supposed to do in those life-threatening conditions, like that's when you have to be ready, and the only way you're going to be ready is if you're in the know.
And I wonder if and this is, I don't know, and maybe he is, but somebody like a DeMar Hamlin coming out and being vocal about saying, hey, like I was playing professional football and didn't know really that issues were going on. And so how many, like you wait that long and you can't. And so I think that to your point, if you identify it early enough, some of it is going to continue. You have to keep looking because it can worsen or whatever. Luckily for Herb Street, it didn't for his son. But I do still think identifying it early saves a lot of people in general, but I also think opens just like the knowledge of people. If you're in middle school and you're doing this to get into to play a sport, you have to do this to be able to play, basketball, whatever the case may be, then that becomes a norm for you. And it makes you, that's something I would have never even talked about or thought about in middle school, high school, playing sports, because it wasn't anything that was ever offered.
I've never had any testing done of my heart at this point, and I played sports from the time I was 4 years old until I graduated from high school, and then I played intramural sports in college. I've never once had a test of my heart done. So now that we're having this conversation, my next physical, I'm going to ask about the echocardiogram. Here are some other songs for the CPR in addition to Stayin' Alive by the Bee Gees if you don't love that song. Eye of the Tiger, I Will Survive, and another one, Bites the Dust. Okay. Did you find the newer one?
Yeah, I can't find it.
These are
it was
all
like
for the older generation.
Yeah, this one's like a new song that had like recently went viral, and I'll think of it in a second.
All right, sounds good. All right, on the other side, we will chat with Justin Mello. Want to get into the 20 undrafted free agents that the Jaguars signed recently. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Joe C.
We all know this man, and he drinks beer.
Matt Hayes.
Someone's had my driver's license suspended.
And Leon Searcy.
But she's a tight.
XL Prime Time.
They do have a reputation as a wild bunch, don't they?
2 to 4 weekdays on 1010XL. Lee and Kate's Glass, Friday. Guaranteed greatness since 1926.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deals served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
As a contractor, finding reliable subcontractors is key to project success. Prosser here. Guys, that's where Lloyd's Heating and Air shines. Not just your mechanical HVAC experts, but your partner, understanding every facet of construction to keep your project on track. Lloyd's will spot issues early before they cause delays. If you're a contractor with a need for reliability, visit LloydsHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air, keeping you comfortable in every season.
Lauren Brooks here. It's the Cruise in a Summer event at Hodges Mazda at the Avenues. For a limited time, get up to $5,000 off a new 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred and receive a free 5-day cruise for 2 with your purchase. With off-road capability and this special offer, your summer adventure starts now. Hurry, 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred models are in limited supply at Hodges Mazda. Offer valid on new 2024 Mazda CX-50 Preferred only. MSRP $32,564. Must trade in a vehicle and finance to dealer to qualify for discount. Cruise and vehicle availability limited. Travel taxes and fees additional. See dealer for details.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
Hey gang, Prosser here, and it's always great when you can replace a problem with a promise. And let me get right down to it. When it comes to Chad and Sandy and selling your home, here's a promise that you can count on. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. Now, more. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down. Activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though, and hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize hassle is the key. Those expert agents, and I'm recommending them to sell your home, Chad and Sandy Newman. There have been lots of you out there on the First Coast who are taking advantage. Take David and Heather in Fox Ridge. This is out in Orange Park. We wanted to move to Keystone Heights to get closer to family, away from the city. We heard Chad and Sandy on the radio and called. What you hear is true. We got multiple offers and sold in 3 days for $15,000 above asking price. Call the local experts I trust and recommend to sell my home and yours. Call Chad and Sandy, 414-6200. ChadAndSandy.com.
This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. I'm here to share that the Gator Bowl is actually a year-round organization. We're known for the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl football game, which has been a Jacksonville staple for more than 80 years. Off the football field, the Gator Bowl is also host to the annual Florida State baseball game, a champion of local youth through Gator Bowl charities, and a strong networking organization of local individuals and companies through our membership. We're actually looking to grow membership, which is an affordable, fun way for you to get involved and give back to our community. To learn more, visit GatorBowl.com for more information.
Share your voice anytime on the 1010XL text line.
Are you serious? Installed by Lifetime Flooring.
I gotta say, you're totally blowing my mind right now.
If you can't call or email, text us. 641-1010.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out the Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At the Y summer camps, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Keep your ball out of the rough with the Edwin Watts Golf Hour. Get great golf tips from the experts every Saturday morning at 10. The Edwin Watts Golf Hour on 1010XL.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple of years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
It's not too late for a deep spring cleaning on your home. Give my friends at Zero Res a call. May Mayhem 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. Visit ZeroResJacksonville.com and tell them 1010XL sent you.
Zero Res. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line.
Hello.
Your floor's missing piece.
I know you wanted me to stay, but there is a reason I am playing this song. It does sound like a grand entrance for Justin Mello as from the NFL Draft Network that is joining us. But we were having a conversation in the last segment of a new song that has the beat that you can sing if you're trying to keep the rhythm
CPR
count for
compressions.
CPR.
Yeah.
And this is the new one that was going viral of people saying this is how you can keep track once it gets to a little bit of the faster part. But yeah, Justin Mello joining us from the NFL Draft Network, going to break down some of these new Jaguars drafted guys, but also some of the undrafted free agents. So Justin, thanks for hopping on with us.
Well, pleasure's all mine. Thanks for having me on.
Not everybody gets to come into the segment with Chapel Roan and Pink Pony Club.
I feel very fortunate.
All right, Justin, let's start with kind of the overarching look before we dive into some of the specifics. And tell us just your thoughts with this Jaguars draft as a whole, that trade up to get Travis Hunter. How much value does that add to the draft grade overall? But just kind of that overall census for you.
Well, I think it's safe to say that when we look back a couple of years from now, the Travis Hunter trade will determine the strength or weakness of this draft class, right? It's a huge gamble by first-year general manager James Gladstone. Look, he made a move to go up and get what he believes is a true unicorn, a potential Hall of Famer. You know, that was the word that some scouts had on Travis Hunter, that he's a potential Hall of Famer. And that's why Gladstone was willing to overpay. Everybody knows he overpaid. You know, he sent more than he got back, but he was willing to do that because he believes he's getting a truly special player. I thought they did a good job all throughout the draft. You know, even though they gave up some capital, they still had multiple top 100 picks. That's certainly a positive for a team when you decide to make the move up like they did. And I thought they did a stellar job getting a mixture of immediate contributors, depth pieces, and I think a future starter or two, 2-3 years down the line. A couple of these guys that are going to be in reserve roles in year one, have a chance to be a starter for them.
When it comes to the undrafted free agents, Patrick Herbert, to me, the tight end, Justin, is a fascinating one because, of course, his brother plays in the NFL. I'm sure people have heard of the quarterback. And so were you surprised that he picked Jacksonville when he obviously could have picked Los Angeles?
No, I think there's probably a bit more opportunity in the tight end room in Jacksonville than there is in Los Angeles. It's all about making sure you land in a spot where you could actually make the roster, right? That's primary number one for these UDFAs when it comes to picking their destination. They often have options, and the agents, they do a great job already knowing what each room looks like around the league and saying, hey, there's a good opportunity here. But I thought Jacksonville got a solid class of UDFAs. A couple, Jabbar Muhammad, the corner out of Oregon, one I just highlighted on my Twitter. That's probably my favorite one that they got. Real versatile guy, can play nickel, super competitive at the catch point. They did a good job not only during the draft, but getting some of that undrafted talent as well.
Right on cue. Justin Mello, of course, you can find him on X at JustinM_NFL. And, of course, you can find his work, including profiles on the likes of Jabbar Muhammad and Eli Pancol, another undrafted free agent rookie your Jacksonville Jaguars have signed over at thedraftnetwork.com. Muhammad, in particular, has definitely been the flavor of the week, the month, however you want to surmise, the undrafted free agent darling for many here in Duval, Justin. But I know Eli's another player who you got to spend some time with. Give us an idea, especially knowing with the release of Gabe Davis, by all accounts, it sounds like the Jaguars want to see what they have in some of the undrafted rookie free agents they brought in this year and last year that are still in the building.
Well, Eli, it's funny because he's got some similar traits to Gabe Davis. Now, I'm always hesitant to say that about a UDFA, especially when comparing him to a seasoned veteran who's proven he can play at this level like Gabe Davis has. But when it comes to Eli, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, right? 6'2", 205, landing the 4.3s at pro day. I mean, that's the type of profile you're looking for in undrafted free agency, right? It's that raw ability that you can try to mold into something more tangible. Now, there were some injuries in his past that contributed a big reason why he went undrafted. But he was healthy this past year, and he put up great numbers, about 800 receiving yards. It was important for him to stay on the field and show off that size and athletic ability. So he's one that certainly comes to mind. And then circling back to Jabbar Muhammad, he went undrafted because he's, considered undersized, and he doesn't have terrific speed for his size. He's got, adequate speed, but when you're as small as he is, they want you to run 4.3. He's not that kind of guy. But when you turn the tape on, he's physical, he's feisty, he's super competitive at the catch point. I can certainly see him carving out a role for himself at the nickel spot. The Jags brought in a great nickel in free agency in Jordan Lewis. So it's hard to find the pathway to immediate snaps, and it should be for a UDFA, right? Those guys usually aren't counted on to contribute right away. But if they can hold on to him, if he can impact special teams, make the 53-man roster, develop on the practice squad, whatever it is, I can certainly see him developing into a contributor. A quick shout as well for Danny Strigo, DN, I believe they brought in out of Minnesota, was a late Senior Bowl ad, after impressing in one of those lesser collegiate all-star games earlier in the process. So he's an interesting guy as well. I believe had 5 sacks this year. really feisty as well, got a red-hot motor when rushing the passer. So they did a good job getting some nice talent in the undrafted class.
Definitely want to ask you about some of those defensive linemen they brought in. But real quick, Justin, back to Muhammad. I love this line from your interview that you did with him over at the Draft Network where he says, I wanted to compete at a higher level with better goals. That's why he transferred from Oklahoma State initially. Quote, ultimately, Oklahoma State was content with making a bowl game. They were happy with that. It wasn't for me. I've always been a competitor that wants to win at the highest level. That's obviously pretty intangibly rich, if James Gladstone would say it. But I am curious, because this has, of course, been the talking point regarding Muhammad, why he wasn't drafted. This idea of, with the national runner-up Washington Huskies in 2023, he lights it up with 3 picks, 16 passes defended. He goes to a more, quote-unquote, defensive-minded head coach in Dan Lanning, still 12 passes defended, no interceptions to show for it. What happened once he got to Oregon, and maybe is that the reason he fell off draft radars?
I just think interceptions, they come in bunches. You know, they're one of those fluky stats that we can't put too much stock into year to year. That's why, I mean, look at every year in the NFL, you look at the passing yards list, for example. In most years, it's fairly similar to one another, right? Rushing yards, receiving yards. You're going to see some Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson. They're always at the top. You look at the interceptions leader list, that thing fluctuates year to year. There's almost no consistency. That's because interceptions come in bunches. There's so many factors that go into it. A lot of it's a fluke. With a guy like Jabbar Muhammad, when you turn on the tape, you know, quarterbacks, they were hesitant to test them this past year. You can't intercept the ball if they're not throwing it your way. I thought he was probably the best corner they had. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they had one drafted this past year, right? So I thought he was the most talented corner they had at Oregon in 2024, and that, you know, that led to a little less action thrown his way. People knew him better. You know, you look at those interceptions in 2023, I think offenses kind of knew what they were getting themselves into. The premier reason he went undrafted, from what I've heard, is just the size and speed deficiencies. He's just not sure he's got the makeup speed to make up for the lack of size. But be careful when you're ruling those guys out. You know, that happened last year to a guy out of West Virginia, Beanie Bishop. You know him now, I assume, because he led all rookies in interceptions. He had like 5 or 6. He went to Pittsburgh as a UDFA. It was just an absolute ball hawk. So be careful when ruling out these smaller, undersized guys that play with terrific tenacity.
Justin, let me ask you specifically about a room. We've been having a ton of conversations here. There's recent reports coming out that maybe the Jaguars regime right now, current regime, is not as high on Travis Etienne as the former regime, or maybe some other people. And so they go and they draft 2 guys in Bashal Tutin, and then obviously LaQuint Allen too, adding that to a room with Tank Bigsby and Keelan Robinson. What are your thoughts first on Tutin and LaQuint and their kind of place in this offense, and also what do you think could or should happen with Travis Etienne?
Yeah, I think Tuin is a great change of pace option, you know, to Tank Bigsby. I think Bigsby is a great between the tackles runner early down. He looks to punish defenders. With Tuin, you're getting speed. You're getting playmaking ability, right? He ran the best 40 out of any running back at the combine at 4.32, and then he jumped 40.5 inches, was also the best result in the vertical jump among any running back. He also had the fastest 10-yard split, which is great to measure, you know, short area explosiveness. So this guy is speed, playmaking ability in the open field. In fact, when they drafted him, I immediately thought, before the whispers kind of creeped out there, they're already looking to replace Etienne, because this guy, you look to handcuff your number 1 back. I think they view Tank Bigsby as their number 1, and they see Tutin as a great change of pace. When I look at LaQuint Allen, I thought that was great value in the 7th round. It's funny. I had a conversation with a scout who I trust, but 2 weeks before the draft. I said, where do you think LaQuint Allen goes? He said to me, I think 6th round. That surprised me a little. I really liked him coming out of Syracuse. I thought I had about a 4th round grade on him. And he said, look, this class is so deep at running back, which was true. We knew that going in. A guy like LaQuint Allen's going to get lost in the mix a little. You know, he might have been a 3rd or 4th round pick last year, but he's a day 3 guy this year. I mean, that's what happened. Jacksonville gets him at 236. He's coming into, again, it's a deep room, but I thought he was a great combination on tape, can run the football. It was really good in the passing game as well. A lot of untapped potential there running routes. He might, if they do get rid of Etienne and they go with sort of a committee, if you will, he might have a path, to RB3 snaps as sort of the 3rd down back in pass protection and catching the football. With Etienne, I see the writing on the wall. I'm buying into this 100%. It's a new regime. He didn't have a great year last year. I think he's entering a contract year, right, of his 4th-year deal now, 2025. I think I wouldn't be shocked if they trade him, before the season even opens. writing's on the wall. You draft 2 running backs. You've got one you like on the roster already on his rookie deal in Tank Bigsby. I think they're fully prepared to move on. You see this around the league every single year. A new regime comes in, and they're not high on a player that was chosen by the previous regime. For James Gladstone, for new head coach Liam Cohen, it certainly looks like that's ETN for them.
Justin, as we know, the Jaguars are not afraid to be bold, hence the trading up for Travis Hunter, like you talked about earlier. They're also not afraid to make guys change positions, and that's what's going to happen with Caleb Ransall and Wyatt Milam. Granted, not drastic position changes, but certainly asking them to change positions.
Yeah, well, Caleb Ransall, I mean, you might know better than I do, but I'm curious to see where they use him because I thought he was really versatile on tape. I thought he's capable of playing safety, playing nickel. You know, at nickel, they're fairly deep. As I noted in the article, you know, they signed Jordan Lewis. He's one of the best nickels in the entire league. Does he get rotational reps there? Is he just a third safety, or does he play traditional safety? To me, they've got a bit of a hole there, right? I believe Eric Murray is penciled into one of those starting roles right now. I don't see why a guy like Caleb Ransall couldn't push him for reps immediately. So he's a really good football player, got good size, good instincts. He's very physical. Curious to see where they use him. I think there's more of a path to immediate, snaps for him at safety, but I think he's got some nickel versatility as well.
Yeah, I think he'll play safety for sure. And he could be the starting safety on the opposite side of, not sides, but as far as starting opposite Eric Murray. So they could be the 2 starting safeties for the Jags. And then Wyatt Milam started obviously at tackle. They're going to ask him, I think, to play guard.
Yeah, everyone's known throughout the entire pre-draft process that he was a guard. I mean, he knows that he's a guard. When you have the arm length that he does, it's just not sufficient enough to play offensive tackle in the National Football League. So he's going to kick into guard. I think he'll make a seamless transition. We see guys do it every single year. It's certainly probably the most common transition a collegiate athlete can make from the NCAA to the pros. Now, interesting to see how he gets on the field. They've got some veteran guards under contract, long-term contracts, in fact, even beyond 2025, and Ezra Cleveland and Patrick McCarry. Now, there's no guarantee that those guys play out the entire duration of their contracts. At some point, one of them or both could be considered a potential cap casualty. That's where Wyatt Milam could come into play as a future starter. But for now, I think they're going to take a patient approach, which is good. As much as the transition is one of the more straightforward ones, it's still a transition, right? Going from tackle to guard. It's a good thing they're not going to rely on him to play right away. I think he'll be a reserve backup this year, but certainly I believe he's got future starting potential at guard if they decide to move on from one of those veterans.
Wrapping up with our friend Justin Mello of the Draft Network on the Checkmate Coatings hotline here on 1010XL. Justin, at the first wave of pro free agency press conference, Jaguars general manager James Gladstone made it very clear that the Jaguars aim to bring in rookies along the defensive line and give them an opportunity to get out on the grass right away. Did not want to have any Band-Aid fixes, let's call it, via free agency standing in their way. Lo and behold, the Jaguars only select, arguably, depending on how you view him, 1 defensive lineman in the 2025 NFL draft in Jalen McLeod, who played the buck linebacker position over at Auburn. They do bring in a handful of UDFAs, though, along the defensive front. And the expectation, I would think, Justin, if not pushing the current crop that they have, which isn't exactly the deepest room in the world, is that at least one of these guys, I think, makes the roster. So your final thoughts: Eli Mostert out of North Dakota State, Ethan Downs out of Oklahoma. I know you mentioned Danny Strigow out of Minnesota. Who are some names that you look at this undrafted free agent bunch along the defensive line and you say, ooh, I could see that guy sticking on the 53?
Yeah, again, Danny Strigo was the one to me that I keep coming back to. He went down to the Hula Bowl earlier this offseason and looked really good. It's rare for a Hula Bowl guy to get the call up to the Senior Bowl. Well, they were crunching some numbers there. They needed another body, and they were really impressed with what he did at Hula. So he gets the late add to the Senior Bowl. I thought he did a great job taking advantage, of that late call up. He's a good football player. He's physical. I thought he proved it out there that he can hang at this level. He had 11 sacks over the past 2 seasons, at a good program like Minnesota. I think he does a great job converting speed to power. Like I said, he's physical. In the interview with me, which I will be tweeting out again within the next couple days, he said, physicality is my calling card. I'm all about effort and physicality when working my pass rush arsenal. So this is a physical, smart player that plays hard. I see some similarities in Ethan Downs as well, by the way. I think James Gladstone had a type here. Ethan Downs has some 3-down potential. He plays super, super hard, and he's an asset early. He can stop the run on early down. So Based on on how that room is shaping up and the lack of a draft pick, again, based on how you view Jalen McLeod, the lack of a traditional defensive lineman draft pick, I certainly expect one of those guys, at least one of them, Danny Striga or Caleb Downs, to make that 53-man roster.
I wanted to remind people, go over and follow Justin Mello at JustinM_NFL or head over to thedraftnetwork.com. But Justin, you did just release kind of a full breakdown of all 9 draft picks in addition to profiles on a lot of the undrafted free agents. So we appreciate all of that. It gives us a lot of insight on that and some good stuff moving forward. I know it's been a crazy time for you, so we appreciate you hopping on with us.
No, pleasure was all mine. Thanks for having me on.
And now add Chapel Roan Pink Pony Club to your latest playlist, Justin. Thank you so much. All right, there he goes, Justin Mello. We've got one segment to go. Going to update you on some A-Sun softball and A-Sun baseball on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Our reward is that justice has been done.
Wherever there is injustice, you will find us.
Wherever liberty is threatened, you will find
1010XL. Jacksonville Sports Radio. It's a Helmets and Heels. Lee and Kate's Glass, Friday.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Want to support a locally and veteran-owned company? If you need a new AC, we should be your first and only call. Ideal Conditions keeps you cool. Just ask your AC. Call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too. From Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
John Haney here for Clearwater. And I know I'm always joking around, but this is a serious time for our coach and our team. So if you need a sprinkler system, a French drain, or seamless gutters, and you live in Duval County, then give us a call today.
Clearwater Irrigation. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at sprinklers. And drainage too.
Duval.
ClearwaterJacks.com. This Mother's Day, be direct. Tell mom she shines without saying a word. At Diamonds Direct, we've curated a meaningful collection of timeless gifts for every budget, from birthstone rings and stackables to diamond pendants, pearls, and stunning earrings. So here's to mom for her love, her strength, and always putting others first. This year, she deserves a gift that lasts a lifetime, and that's our specialty. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Too busy for Mother's Day? That's no excuse. Not when a simple call or online visit to Kuhn Flowers will do the trick. This is Max with 1010XL. Take care of your mother by ordering a floral arrangement today from Kuhn Flowers. KuhnFlowers.com.
Riley Green, live. Doing things a little different, right? Damn Country Music Tour. Damn Country Music. Friday, August 8th, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Damn Country Music. With Ella Langley.
You look like you.
Drake White and Channing Wilson.
You look like
on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Don't miss Riley Green.
Need a fast casual option that's healthy, fresh, and delicious? Choose the Great Greek Mediterranean Grill. Gyros, salads, hummus, and more made completely fresh right as you order. Off 210 and St. John's Parkway. The Great Greek Mediterranean Grill.
Mia O'Brien
is going to be the first woman president of the United States of America.
Catch me weekdays from noon to 2 on Helmets and Heels.
And she could run later this year even, and I would vote for her.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota on 1010XL.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida.
Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
Life is about choices and the decisions you make. I'm David Robbins with Epstein & Robbins. If you're convicted of a DUI, you'll have to face severe consequences. Walking through the doors of the courthouse or appearing at a bond hearing can be extremely intimidating. Without the right lawyer, you're likely to make the wrong decision. Let our team help you make the right decisions in court. Epstein & Robbins, the right choice.
Epstein and Robbins, fighting for your rights since 1975.
What does your dream backyard look like? Hey, it's Joe C. and my friends at CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living can design an outdoor kitchen layout custom built to your taste and lifestyle. You dream it, they can build it. CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. Visit cssoutdoor.com.
Poker players, get ready for the action. The $200 no-limit hold'em Stars and Stripes poker tournament happens at Best Bet Orange Park on May 26th. With 6 starting flights and a guaranteed prize pool of $50,000, it's your chance to claim victory and win big. And there's more. Don't miss $42,000 in high hands every 30 minutes from 10 a.m. to midnight at all 3 locations. For more details on how to join the action, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, the Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer. Dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Do want to remind everybody who is interested in going to the Jaguars rookie mini camp open practice tomorrow, you do have to pre-register for those tickets. I'm not even sure if there's any available anymore. Jaguars.com is the place to get those tickets with practice tomorrow afternoon at the Miller Electric Center. Hopefully the weather holds up. I did want to cool down, ladies, and today it is a cool down because we're hitting the ice.
Ooh.
Last night, we probably should have had this disclaimer off the top of the show. If you couldn't tell, Taylor Dahl and I are certainly battling the allergies big time here at 1010XL World Headquarters. And so last night, go do the good old neti pot in the other room, and I come back in and I realize Kevin has flipped the channel to hockey. I know we have a hooligan out there who is petrified because, of course, that was the Capitals and the Hurricanes in Game 1 of last night's doubleheader in the Stanley Cup playoffs. But I'm happy to report that as I walked in, it was the empty netter with 30-some-odd seconds left. But I have finally seen a goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is the curse broken? I think it's still too early to say, Lauren, but I did want to make sure we put the word out there that I have seen a goal, even if it was an empty netter when the goalie was cold.
The cure for some people when it comes to allergies is local honey. I don't know if
I do
tried it. Yeah,
I do it, and I do elderberry.
Nothing works.
No,
yeah,
no,
I feel like this building has created some sinus issues, allergy issues for
that's a serious thing.
everyone in that we work with. But yeah, ASUN softball going on right now. You've got UNF, and they just started. The first pitch was 1:30, taking on Eastern Kentucky. So keep you updated if there's any scoring in that game. But I wanted to let everyone know yesterday UNF beat Stetson 2-1. UNF is the 1 seed in the ASUN softball tournament. Stetson was the 4th seed. Allison Benning, who we've talked about on this show a lot, she got her 22nd win of the year. The Ospreys got their record-breaking 43rd victory. What did Allison Benning do? Pitched and also drove in the first run of the game.
Maybe she, we talk about Travis Hunter and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah,
I mean,
we need to talk more.
We should be putting
softball. It's a little easier than the other sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's more common.
She'd be like, "Oh, really, Lauren?
Yeah,
it's that easy, huh?"
It's more common, but the fact that she was also doing it at the Power 4 level before transferring to UNF over in Oregon in the Pacific Northwest, we may have Shohei Ohtani at home, and that was before we got Travis Hunter.
Yeah, maybe she's better than Shohei, as a matter of fact. The championship game for ASUN softball tomorrow, 2 p.m. So keep an eye out on that. When it comes to ACC softball, The top-seeded FSU Seminoles beat 4th-seeded Duke 3-2. That was earlier today. That game started at 10 a.m. up in Boston College. So now FSU awaits the winner of Clemson and Virginia Tech, and then that championship game will be tomorrow. And then Florida, when it comes to baseball, is at Texas, as we know, beginning tonight, 7:30. Obviously, Gator fans are a little nervous because that is the second-ranked Longhorns, second-best team in all of the country. But you can hear the entire series on 10:10 a.m. And as we speak, UNF is playing baseball because of the inclement weather that's projected. They went ahead, instead of having a game tonight and a game tomorrow, they went ahead and moved it to a doubleheader today. That first game started at noon. It is currently UNF 4, Queens 0. The doubleheader will be approximately 30 minutes after this game going on right now. And oh, by the way, the Frangie Show will be there for that second game. And it looks like, from what I can tell, maybe they're in the top of the fourth, somewhere in there. And so, like I said, that second game will start 30 minutes after the first game. So if you're looking for some local baseball, get out to the campus of UNF today, because JU is at Stetson all weekend and 7th-ranked FSU is at Cal this weekend. By the way, when it comes to women's lacrosse.
It was today.
Yes, today, 4 p.m.
Well, I've got the text. He said, don't worry, my bad. Tell Lauren she's got another day. My
It's
mistake.
funny, I didn't pick it up, or I didn't catch it yesterday. And then this morning I was like, let me check the score. Why didn't I see any sort of tweets about the game?
I was going to say, I thought the tournament started today because it's like the first round is Friday.
Okay, yeah.
Friday, Saturday. I was surprised. I was like,
And then I talked to my dad, and he's like,
Thursday.
yeah, it's today at 4 p.m. And I was like, all right, well, that's good news. That means we can watch.
Your dad definitely had it on a schedule, so.
I mean, he also had on the schedule to watch the Indiana Fever at Carver Hawkeye Arena on Sunday against Brazil. And I text him, and I'm like, you watching? And he's like, no, your mother had us in the Poconos. We just got home.
Your brother had us in the Poconos.
It's a 30-point game. He goes, why should I turn it on? They're up by 30. And I was like, you should still turn it on, Dad, because she's still playing. And then he turned it on. He was like, okay, all right, I'm happy. It's a preseason game.
My dad expected to be watching a lot of Florida softball in the SEC tournament, but unfortunately, like I mentioned the other day, Florida bowed out in extras against Ole Miss, and so not going to happen. It seems like Oklahoma, who Florida just played really well at Oklahoma last weekend. It feels to me like Oklahoma's going to win this SEC tournament, and it feels like that because Oklahoma won the gymnastics.
I was about to say, I feel like they're winning all of it.
Yeah, when Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC, the people who follow the sports that are not just football knew that
They're
was
like,
going.
oh, no.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was going to be a very uphill climb for a lot of the other SEC teams. Obviously, Florida, Georgia, LSU, those teams are traditionally really good at, say, gymnastics or women's basketball. Florida, not so much women's basketball, but Tennessee, LSU, and then bringing Oklahoma and Texas in, and it just changes the landscape. A lot of these things. I don't think I realized how good Texas baseball was. And so, yeah, like I mentioned, now Georgia #1 in the country, Texas #2. I think Arkansas is third, somewhere along those lines. So, it's
just in time for Florida Gator baseball to get going.
It's
right.
One of those things where you say, how does Sully keep getting away with this? But it's the clock strikes this time of the year, and all of a sudden, now they're going to turn it on. They're going to make a run to the College World Series.
Yeah, it's crazy when a team can be as deep as what Florida typically has in baseball, and certainly other teams in other sports. Oklahoma gymnastics comes to mind, that if one person goes out, sometimes that shifts the entire roster for some teams, but not these teams. And so Sully knew that he had, like Aiden King, the freshman, certainly from around here, that he just had to kind of slow play it. And King, for the last month or so, has been lights out. But I don't think he wanted to start him right away and put him into those high pressure situations.
Yeah, and that's when it comes to baseball, there's so many little ins and outs that managers or coaches have to figure out in baseball when it comes to that pitching rotation, because sometimes you do. I mean, the Cubs are dealing with it right now because they lost Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga, and so now they've had to recently call up 2 of their AAA guys within the last few weeks, and that just kind of shifts everything. And so in college baseball, you don't even have that. It's not like you can look at your AAA team and be like, oh, let me call up this guy. You're trying to just figure it out with who's on your roster.
Yeah, and obviously Kevin O'Sullivan is the class act of coaches as far as having his team in Omaha pretty much every year. Like, that's unbelievable what he's able to do. By the way, speaking of Major League Baseball, Taylor, the Rays were swept by the Phillies. Thanks a lot, Phillies. So now they're 16-21.
Yeah, they took 2 against us.
Oh, yeah. The Rays play host to the Brewers this weekend. What are the Yankees doing?
I don't know.
Well, Aaron Judge just keeps doing
Yeah.
it. I saw
They're
literally
at
a
the
caption
A's,
today
yeah.
from The Athletic that was like, is this the best hitter in baseball history? And it was this whole thing about Aaron Judge. By the way, did you see I saw a post yesterday that they're saying that maybe next year they're going to start calculating home runs separately. So it's going to be home runs, like a normal home run number, but then a home run number that would be a home run, and it has to be in over 50% of
did see
parks
that,
because
yes.
certain parks have such
a
the
short
Yankees, for
porch,
example,
yeah.
in that right field. But I saw someone else posting like, feel free to also use right field if you want to hit a home run. Like it doesn't have to be just Aaron Judge. But I personally don't mind. Like you're still going to say a home run number. It's like you're still going to say, oh, they have 56 home runs. But I do like it's kind of like when a quarterback, we say the air yards versus their total yards. We don't sit there and talk about their air yards like a normal. You just say they had 3,800 yards, whatever it may be, and then. But you still have that number that will say specifically, because I remember last year there was a moment where Nico Horner only had, I think, like 14 home runs. But if he played at Yankee Stadium, it would have been 34 home runs.
That's the fun part and unique part about baseball.
Well, let's not bury the Yankees here. Let's address the fact that the Yankees will be paying their first visit to a minor league ballpark to play a Major League Baseball game.
My gosh.
That's the
That one's
reason,
gonna
Taylor.
go-
That's the reason that they're changing the stat. Not because of Yankee Stadium, but because the Oakland Athletics are going to have to play in a minor league ballpark for the next 2 years.
The Yankees have come to Steinbrenner, though.
Right.
So, yeah, they're used to
They
the...
played at the minor league.
No. I'm
This is their
referring.
third minor league park. for the
I'm
year.
referring to this is their first trip out to Sacramento
Yeah.
since the A's. So the first time they're playing the A's this year. And additionally, I would argue that stat is more about that ballpark than
I
it
don't
is
know
Yankee
because this is
Stadium.
not for this year. It's for the
it's-
future.
Well, they're going to be there for the next 2
Well, yeah,
years.
but I think, no, because it's not just, it's like they're doing a median number. Like, okay, so here is all of the depths of whatever a home run is in each field, and then we're going to take the median and the median number is going to be another, like, okay, the average home run in 50% of the parks. So it's not calculating one field, it's calculating all of the fields.
I'm saying the
because it's not
reasoning for
just
it.
Yankee stadiums. There's a lot of stadiums that are
Cincinnati's
easier
too,
to hit home runs and some that are way difficult to hit home runs in.
Absolutely. All right, so tomorrow at the Miller Electric Center, Seth Hennigan throwing the ball to Travis Hunter. Is that what you anticipate?
Yes.
An undrafted free agent to a rookie?
Our friend Aaron Wilson did report out with KPRC out in Houston that former Tennessee Martin quarterback Kinked Dent, I hope I pronounced that right. He will also be throwing the rock around tomorrow because that would be a lot of work for one Seth Hennigan. As much as he loves ball, I think throwing to everybody might be a little too much. So, yes, they will have a second quarterback in attendance, too.
Yeah, which is good. I do wonder, will we see Travis Hunter intercept Seth Hennigan and or the other quarterback? Do you think they'll...
I'm curious to see how much they actually do.
That's what I was going to say. Do you think we'll even see some 7-on-7 work? Obviously, again, not pads, but even like in T-shirts and shorts.
I mean, probably see some one-on-one maybe. I don't think you'll see 7-on-7. That's if they had enough like to do a 7-on-7. I mean, if they did, I think it would be all like everybody would be on the field together. So I expect more one-on-ones, more position drills, more than anything. But yes, you will see. That's the biggest every year at rookie minicamp. You're looking for two things for those of you who are going to be headed out to the Miller Electric Center tomorrow. Number one, you're looking for the red flags of, that guy, he doesn't look the part. You'll know it if you see it. And then number two, you look for the guys who just move differently. And there's a couple of charter members, season ticket holders, longtime members of the Jaguars ecosystem, to use a James Gladstone term, that are actually had the opportunity to go out to the Miller Electric Center today. And I've seen some of them tweeting. And yes, like... That's what you're looking for. Seeing Travis Hunter go up and down a field, whether that is to catch a football or not. That's what I remember my biggest takeaway from Trevor Lawrence's rookie minicamp was. It was simply just him warming up, but the way that he was running sprints, I was like, yeah, we haven't seen a quarterback run like that around here.
In the terms of the red flag, I remember when the Jaguars drafted Raymond Vahasek, the fullback. And
No. He wasn't the fullback. It was the other one. Raymond Vahasek was the defensive tackle from North Carolina. Second Tar Heel reference of the program. No, Derek what's-his-face was the fullback.
Yeah.
Out of Houston, who also played linebacker.
Well, yeah, whoever the fullback was, in my head it was Raymond Vahasek. But maybe it's just because I actually knew how to say that guy's name. I just remember the fullback and looking at him and being like, this guy is not going to play in the NFL. That just was my takeaway.
So you can sometimes feel that right away.
I feel like even though it's T-shirts and shorts, like you can just kind of tell, at least that's the vibe that I got.
Derek Parrish.
Yes,
that was
okay, thank you. Derek Parrish. Yeah. Much easier name, by the way, than Raymond Vohasek. Why didn't I remember that? Yeah, I think I would be there tomorrow. I've always gone to this type of stuff. I can't wait to get out on the grass, again, to use a Gladstone term or a Liam Cohen term, but I will be in Jekyll Island for my family reunion. I'm bummed I'm going to miss it.
I know. That will also still be fun, though.
It will be fun. And you're off all next week.
Yes, I am off all next week. I've got a family vacation for the first 5 days, then Rockville next weekend. So I'm very excited.
You've been to Rockville before, so you know what to expect.
I have, but I haven't done multiple days. I've gone for a day before to see a few bands that I wanted to see, but we're going to be there multiple days next week. So that's the first time that I would do that. And it's going to be 95 degrees and sunny, it looks like. So it's going to be very hot.
Ooh, yeah, find some shade. All right, XL Primetime's finally here.
Yay!
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Matt Hayes, you made it.
Listening to metal music.
We're trying to focus on Feel Good Friday. We're burying the lead. I'm just getting the music ready because he has entered the Terror Dome, folks. Willingly entering the Terror Dome, knowing we are fresh off the heels of discussing the latest saga twist at the University of North Carolina. Matt Hayes, will Bill Belichick coach a single game as the head coach of the Tar Heels?
Yes, because I think his pride at some point is going to take over. And then once that happens, then it's just going to be football.
Is pride, you think, the main thing going through his head these days?
It's not.
It's
not.
Sure doesn't seem like it.
And that's an interesting choice of words for you, Lauren Brooks.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's just a lot going on, and I think at some point he's going to realize, okay, this is about ball.
Right.
And then that's going to take over.
Then he'll get back in the lane and take the straight and narrow path. We shall see.
We'll see. I mean, women weaken legs.
She was about to say.
The
next exit might be closer than what we
The reporting wars about this, people are
I
now...
can safely say that among you three.
The reporting wars after this Pablo Torre report, and now then the statement comes out, and now people are saying that Pablo's trash. But I'm like, if he filed a Freedom of Information Act and requested comment from North Carolina and they never answered, that's smoke to me. That's a little weird. And now here we stand, and everybody's questioning what's real and what's not.
The fact that North Carolina now has had to issue another statement on Bill Belichick. So that's the second in the last week and a half, right? 9 days. That's not good.
No.
Those people there are very button up.
Right.
Hoity-toity.
Yeah.
I
this
call it
stuff
highbrow.
is not good for them, okay?
Yep. I agree with you.
It's a lot like Michigan before Michigan decided, screw it, we're just going to cheat.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of just like North Carolina.
Forget it.
Demetrius Harvey tweeted out he wanted the names Jordan Hudson and Draymond Green to leave the chat, so to speak, right? Because of all the things that are trending. And the first time I read that tweet, I thought it meant that Jordan Hudson was cheating on Bill Belichick with Draymond Green. And I was like, this whole
what
thing
is that? This is
is
getting
going
wild.
crazy. Yeah. All right, what's coming up that's much more important than all this?
That's going way off. You were way off the rails.
When I saw the tweet, that's just what I thought.
You never know nowadays.
Matt, what's coming up on XLP?
We're going to get into Jags. We're going to get into some college football. Maybe even a little Florida Texas this weekend.
Florida Texas baseball. I
Just
like
a
it.
big series this weekend.
Huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Matt. I see you're wearing orange and blue today on purpose. Yeah. I've got my orange and blue on, all us Gators cheering. Kevin O'Sullivan and his team on. All right.
Side note really quick.
Yeah.
The A's minor league park is bigger than the Yankees.
Oh, it's time for the weekend.
That'll do it for us for the week. Taylor, have a great vacation.
Thank you.
For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you on Monday, but don't go anywhere. XL Primetime comes up next.